It takes a special occasion for an audio guide to cross from the new B&H audio channel back over to the main B&H channel, but in honor of National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day and to promote shelter pet adoption, a cause very dear to me, Sam Fuller and I teamed up with the Animal Care Center of NYC and set up shop at their brand new state-of-the-art facility in Queens to take fresh headshots of some of their seniors and long-term residents to update their adoption profiles. And while doing so, we're going to look at 5 tips and tricks to take better pet portraits, whether you're doing it at home with your pets, in a studio, or at a shelter like us today. If you see the pup of your dreams, make sure to let us know in the comments or reach out to NYC ACC using the contact info below to find out more about the adoption process. In the meantime, let's meet some adoptable pets. It is no secret that dogs are very food motivated, and one of the best ways to get and direct the attention of a dog is with treats. Choosing the right kind of treats for an animal shoot is key though. As a rule of thumb, small meat-based treats are usually the way to go for several reasons. Using small treats will ensure that the dog will be able to consume them quickly, letting you move on to the next shot faster than if the animal has to work its way through a big, chewy treat. It will also ensure that the dog doesn't fill up too quickly and loses interest. Solid treats like training treats are also usually easier to work with than cookies that easily crumble away and leave a mess on set. If the dog you're working with is losing interest in the treats you're giving them, upping the value of the treat is a good way to get them back on track. A high-value treat like a piece of string cheese or a hot dog will probably do the trick. When working with shelter animals, remember to offer the treat on an open hand first, and once you've built trust, you can switch to holding it with your fingertips, which might make it a little easier. Unsweetened peanut butter on a spoon can also be a very effective way to get fun expressions. Just one word of caution about treats. Just like us, animals can have food allergies and sensitivities, so make sure to communicate with the dog owner or handler to make sure the treats you're giving them are safe. If treats start to lose their appeal, don't hesitate to switch to a toy. Toys can be very helpful to get mouth open pictures and funny reactions, and toy squeakers like this one can be very useful to recenter a dog's attention and refocus them. Now let's talk about background choice for a second. The background of your photos might change depending on where you are shooting, for instance, outdoor versus indoors, but wherever you are, one thing to remember is to keep things simple. After all, the stars of the show here are the pets and not what's behind them. Today we're shooting in the really nice community room of the NYC ACC Queens facility, and we set up a tried and true bright color seamless background. It's easy and quick to set up and switch, and it really helps keep the attention on the subject. If you're shooting outside, try to find a nice looking background, and if you find that the location lacks charm, try shooting at a lower aperture to soften the background and make it more pleasing to the eye. We talked about treats, we talked about backgrounds. Now let's talk about posing the dogs. So here are a few ideas of shots you can try to get when you're shooting pets. You'll find that a lot of shelter dogs understand and obey basic commands like sit, especially with the promise of a treat. Talk to the handler and spend a few minutes to figure out what commands the dog you're working with answers to. For classic portraits, have the dog sit and direct their gaze using a treat held just above the lens or toys, and make sure to reward them between shots. Large dogs can sit on the floor, but using a doggy platform with smaller dogs will help both with containing the animal in a restricted space and with lighting the subject. One of the classic shots all pet photographers like to get is the treat catching shot, in which you throw a treat and capture the expression of the dog catching it midair, ensuring hilarity. This can be achieved with your camera set to burst mode and a bit of practice. Throwing toys can also give great results. Another classic shot is the running at the camera, in which the dog essentially just, runs at the camera. Just have a volunteer hold and release the dog while you're holding a treat. It might be easier to achieve outdoors than indoors, but you might be able to get it indoors with a large seamless background and a bit of editing, and once again, continuous shooting is your friend here. Earlier in the video, we talked about what matters most for dogs, aka treats and toys. Now, let's talk about what matters most for photographers, cameras and lenses. First off, if you're just getting your feet wet with pet photography and don't yet have a budget for a real camera, you can still get some practice and some great shots with your phone camera. But if you're getting serious about it, you'll want to invest in a more professional setup. And instead of giving you a laborious lecture on cameras and lenses, let me turn to our photographer, Sam Fuller, who's going to tell us what she used today and why.
If you're just getting started, I would recommend using whichever camera body system you're most comfortable with. Here we're using a Canon R6, which is a full frame camera body, but it also utilizes animal tracking, which is really important when you're photographing animals because it tracks the focus on their eye, which keeps them in focus. And I'm using the 24-70 f2.8 lens. I would recommend using a lens in this range because it gives you enough room to be close enough to the dogs where you could interact with them without getting a wide angle distortion or making the dogs uncomfortable.
Whether you're working with shelter animals or shooting studio pet portraits, you'll definitely want to show your subjects under their best light. And talking about light, one of the first questions you might ask yourself is continuous lighting or strobes? Well, the answer to that question might vary depending on your skill level and the situation you're shooting in. For shelter photo shoots, using continuous lighting might be the way to go. Some of the pets you'll be working with might be anxious and scared of strobes, so continuous lighting will keep things more relaxed on set, both for the animals and you, especially if you're getting started. More experienced photographers might want to elect to use strobe lights, which offer a couple of advantages. They can run on batteries much longer, eliminating the need for power cables on set, and they offer a much stronger output, which will give you an edge, especially for action shots like treat catching. The drawback is that they require a lot more precision from the photographer, so if you're getting started, begin with continuous lighting, and when you're comfortable with both the camera and have experience with the animals, switch to a strobe light setup. For this shoot, we're using one key light set on a light stand above the subject and two rim lights, one on each side of the set to help define the edges of the dogs and separate them from the background. Today we're using 3 lights, but if you're getting started, start with a key light and build your setup from there. We're nearing the end of the video and I'd like to give a couple of additional quick tips before we wrap up. First up, make sure to get good catch lights. It might seem like a detail, but good catch lights can really breathe life into a portrait, and they'll also really help capture the personality of the animal you photographed. So don't skimp on the catch lights. Now, maybe the most important tip of this video is be patient with all animals, of course, but especially with shelter animals. The staff and volunteers at animal shelters do wonders, but nonetheless, the shelter experience can be and is very stressful for some of the animals hosted there. And the last thing you want to do is add to that stress. If you're not getting the shots you want, don't get frustrated. Give the animal and yourself a few minutes to reset and try again. Last but not least, if you want to get started with pet photography but don't know how to get started, just contact your local shelter. They might need and be happy to get photos of the animals they're hosting, and this will give you the opportunity to practice with a lot of different animals with different personality. And like with everything else, there's no experience like hands-on experience. Or should I say, paws-on experience. And so this is it. So I'm here with Moochie, one of our cutest models today, and this is it for these tips and tricks for pet photography. A big thanks to the Animal Care Center of NYC for having us and hosting this shoot. If you would like to learn more about adopting a pet at one of their 3 New York City locations or volunteering at NYC ACC, please visit www.nycacc.org or check out their socials at NYCACC. On a more personal note, I urge you to consider senior doggos and bully breeds, which are often overlooked and passed on despite being sweet dogs with stellar personalities. Something to think about on your way to the shelter. In the meantime, thanks for watching. This was Gabe with B&H, reminding you to adopt, don't shop. Bye, girl.
Are you happy? Are you happy? That's a yes. That is a big yes. Good girl.